This might be the most cringeworthy video I ever make, but it's the one I'm most proud of because it has totally changed my life in a way that I would not think it would have. And the reason why it has, I'll get to that later. But so what I'm going to show you is an animation of the amazing effect Invisalign had on my teeth. It's really cringeworthy because after the animation, you get to see pictures of me before. And I'm not going to show any pictures of me after because this is the after. I have now as perfect as a smile as you're going to get for me as a 53-year-old after 4 years of having my teeth pushed into place, holes filled, holes opened. It's been an odyssey. So cue the tape. So this is an animation of my teeth throughout the treatment from the very beginning. This is before, and I'm missing a tooth, which would be number 10 on the top, and that's the gray part. But I'm also having an extra tooth as number 21 that's going to be pulled out. You'll see soon, probably like in the 5th week or so of the animation, and there it goes, it's gone. And this is just weeks and weeks and weeks as it goes by as far as the treatment, and it's kind of neat watching my teeth just shift. And believe it or not, this was not painful at all. And so that was my main concern, is that I didn't need to have any painkillers or anything like that. And as a gray tooth, the gray tooth is missing, and eventually it gets filled in with a Maryland bridge. And that is me with my gap tooth smile. And this is the very, very cringe-worthy shots of me, probably in 2021, as I'm still going through treatment. Thanks for watching it. The funny thing is after I actually had to search for photos of me smiling to show the gaps in my teeth, the crooked teeth and the gaps in my teeth, more important, the gap in my teeth, more importantly. I couldn't find any. It was hard because I had learned for 49 years to not smile. That's kind of crazy because now the reason why this has changed my life, getting Invisalign, is that I didn't realize how self-conscious I was about smiling in photos, to the point where I didn't smile at all. And it's not like I didn't like smiling. I had just conditioned myself to not smile. I could do a selfie, but I wouldn't smile. And that's how it's changed my life. And to go back, I have a family of 5 kids. I am the second youngest of 3 older daughters. And my parents got all 3 of my sisters orthodontia. Because, you know, the funny thing is I tell the stories, they're girls, and they figured girls need to be attractive to be able to get a husband. Totally get it. When it got down to me, you know, money was really tight. I didn't want to put any financial pressure on my family. So I was just like, hey, you know what? I don't need it. I'm fine. But I had a missing tooth. Didn't fall out. It was congenital. I just never had a tooth there, and never had the bone structure to hold a tooth there because it was not there. Fast forward my entire life, I get into my 20s, I buy a house, and choose not to get my teeth done because back then, when I was in my 20s and had a bit of a disposable income before I bought a home, the Invisalign didn't exist. You just had the metal braces or whatever the modern equivalent of modern steel braces, the old school braces. And being in my 20s, single, didn't want to have the stigma of, you know, a metal mouth. So I passed on it, you know, and then years go by, I meet an amazing woman, get married, and it's just like, I don't really need to have my teeth straight. Because the vanity aspect of it is I'm just trying to find a mate. But by 48, I was starting to, oh yeah, in the interim, the irony was I didn't want to put financial pressure on my parents, but forever my mom would always comment, Will, you got to get that gap in your tooth fixed. Throughout my 20s, my 30s, Will, you got to get that gap fixed. You got to get that gap fixed. Got to get the gap fixed. Not so much my teeth straightening my teeth, but the gap fixed. And I was like, oh, Mom, I'll get to it, get to it, have a kid, start a business, and do all these other things, and like money needed to go in other places. But here, in my 48th year, 49th year, 48th year, 49th year, it was in June, I was training outside, and I had been doing standing starts. And at the time, also, I was doing a lot of deadlifting, lifting heavy weights. And it was a Sunday. I just did an effort outside, and I'm like, my teeth don't feel right. Something's different, just like that. And, I finished my workout, ran inside, checked my teeth, and it was just this really subtle thing. It must have moved, not, a few, not even a millimeter. But my teeth, lower teeth, so the gap was in the upper teeth. My lower tooth, one of my lower teeth had literally moved backwards, and there was crowding from the flanking teeth, pushing that middle tooth back. And I could feel it, and I'm like, ooh, that's not good. So that was the impetus to go and get orthodontia. Not so much the cosmetic aspect of it, but like, wow, now my teeth are starting to really, really shift. I also had money, and I just did not want to put myself in a situation down the road where I was going to have trouble eating. I love to eat. So I immediately went to my dentist as soon as I could to get a game plan for my teeth, because we had talked about it before. And now I was convinced, let's do this. And they gave me, I think my teeth were in such rough shape that they couldn't do it in-house, that I had to go get a specialist, an orthodontist, not just a dentist. And I went ahead and booked an appointment and consultation with the orthodontist firm. They're awesome, Dr. Kleiman, Dr. Toms. Turns out I needed oral surgery also, because the irony here was I went in to try to get that lower tooth straightened out, so get that crowding done and straightened out. But I also wanted to get that gap, because I was just kind of wanted to shut my mom up about not having to complain about, well, get your tooth fixed, get your tooth gap fixed, get your tooth gap fixed. So two things I want to fix that tooth that was diving inward, and get that gap fixed. Here's the irony, is I actually had to have a tooth removed from my lower my lower teeth, and I was like, what the heck? I'm trying to get rid of gaps. And the reason why I had to have a tooth removed from the lower part was my tooth line, the centering was actually shifted over. And in order to shift it all the way over this way, a tooth was in the way. And I think it was that tooth that was falling in that I had to have extracted. It's been so long. So I had to have an appointment with an oral surgeon, and he pulled my tooth. So not only did I go from one missing tooth, I went to two missing teeth. That sucked. But here's the amazing thing. So, I mean, I was fully committed. And the funny thing was, so I got this started at the end of 2019. And the reason why I went with Invisalign was that I didn't want to have the stigma, again, of having like conventional braces, even if the Invisalign would take longer. Keep in mind, the original treatment was for like 24 months, and then ended up being 48 months, 4 years. But that said, I just didn't want to go have the stigma of my having, braces, old school braces, going to see customers, and just the social stigma of having braces. Little did I know in 2020 that there would be a pandemic and that I would not be seeing very many people for the better part of a year. So I still would stick with Invisalign. The beauty of Invisalign is, here are my nighttime liners, and I've had these for about a year now. The beauty of Invisalign, if you haven't quite guessed, is that you can just remove them, and compliance of actually wearing them, the more compliant you are of wearing them, the faster you get to your treatment. But I like the ability, I love the idea of the ability of being able to remove the liners to go and talk to someone and not feel like they're looking at my teeth as opposed to talking to me. Love that idea, and it was worth the added time and added cost of doing it. But 2020 hindsight, had I known I was going to be basically sheltering in place for a year, I probably would have gone with conventional braces. Really, not really. Yeah, but that said, what I found is other friends getting it, other family members getting it. In fact, my sister is just getting hers done. She had, again, orthodontia when she was younger. And the reason why I'm making this video is partly because a lot of people that have had orthodontia when they were young still probably need Invisalign now, because your teeth shift. Things happen. You do deadlifts or you do standing starts and things shift. Even if you did have orthodontia, your teeth shift because it's like decades later. And so a lot of people are getting Invisalign because the treatment's like a year. And again, that whole convenience factor, being able to pop these out whenever you want and then pop them back in when you're not eating and when you're not whatever, talking to people and whatever. So that's the beauty of Invisalign. And here's the one thing I did learn, and comes back to Dr. Thomas and Dr. Klima and why this isn't a commercial for them, but it is one of the things I've noticed comparing notes with friends that have gone through the treatment, is Burke Orthodontics, what's impressive about them is they have follow-ups. I've been done over a year now, and I've had 3 or 4 follow-ups since then. In fact, I got one a few days from now. The follow-up is kind of and dragging the process out, not dragging us, doing the fine-tuning process, taking it from the original 24 months to 48. Seems like, wow, what are they, incompetent? No, in fact, they wanted to just make my smile perfect because I was, it's a sunk cost at this point, and they were kind of surprised that I was willing to invest the amount of time and effort into trying to get my teeth as straight as possible. And I was compliant. It wasn't because it took so long because I wasn't wearing them. I was pretty darn religious about wearing them because I wanted to, it was a sunk cost. If I was going to do this, let's do it right. And it's pretty safe to say that's the mantra of my life, is if I'm going to do something, I don't do anything half-assed. I'm going to go all the way. And that's the thing is most firms, and I get it, like, you don't want to keep seeing me for 4 years. You want to get your money, you charge whatever you're going to charge, $4,000, $5,000, $6,000, and get the person out of there. But not Burke. They hunker down and continue to hunker down and want to see me and make sure everything is good because of how far I've come. So, 4-year story, a 4-year saga. At the end of it, I would do it all again. I have just, because it has changed my life. It has, just again, combing through my photo album and finding out, like, wow, dude, you are no longer so self-conscious about your teeth that you won't smile. And I'm not a vain person, but it does change your life in the fact that this is just something you don't think about anymore. And I remember when I was getting down towards the end of the treatment was how much my wife would just marvel at my teeth. And it was kind of one of these things where it's kind of a backhanded compliment. It's like, whoa, were my teeth that jacked? Yes, my teeth were that jacked. But she was like, wow, you've just got a beautiful smile now. And I love that. I mean, I have to say, I love it. I love the fact that it's that much of a difference in seeing the photos and comparing it to what I look like now and knowing I can talk in front of the camera and like not speak with my lips closed. Kind of makes things a lot easier. If you're on the fence about Invisalign, don't be. Get it done. If you have the funds, definitely do it. You know, I mean, I had to say, my teeth aren't Shane McGowan of the Pogues, 1980s, horrible Irish or, you know, British Isles teeth. But my teeth were really, really bad. And it was possible to do it as non-invasively as possible with Invisalign without having to have hardware and whatever. Would have happened faster if I had the hardware. But this just honestly just worked out better for an adult. So thanks for watching. And I'm kind of glad to share this with people because it really has changed my life.